Governor Newsom asked public to help design new California quarter. Instantly regrets it. Ruger is coming out with a new lead dispenser in honor of the Senate and the House of Representatives. It will be named the Congressman. It doesn't work, and you can't fire it. If they even made this as a novelty item, it would probably become one of their best sellers overnight. This is what weak men create hard times looks like. Survivor of communist concentration camp makes peace with dying in U.S. prison over peaceful pro-life protest. Well, it's as the word says. Everything today that's good is called evil, and everything that is evil is called good. And that is just a fact. Yet another people of Yellowstone. Woman causes traffic jam at Yellowstone National Park after abandoning car for a closer look at bear. Traffic backed up for miles. Lead dispenser control is like trying to reduce drunk driving by making it tougher for sober people to own cars. Just facts. At this point, conspiracy theories might as well be called spoiler alerts. Well, there's been some of us that's been trying to tell people for many years what was coming. Teen suspended for saying illegal alien during English assignment. And yes, sadly, this is a real news article. And this actually did happen. BBC News. Israel-Gaza war. How to spot disinformation on social media. Readers added context. The BBC itself recently had to apologize for airing misinformation over a pro-Palestinian protest. History has shown that these are the first two things banned by totalitarian governments. Just another simple fact. Facial recognition platform misidentified dozens of politicians as criminals. No, they didn't misidentify anything. That particular AI platform just hadn't received its political correctness and censorship update yet. Education works best when all the parts are working. Notice how they made sure that the gear for teachers is larger than the one that says parents. And yes, in large, the public school system is working against the parents. Me supplying memes after I'm kicked off all social media. It looks like the Boeing hit squad is the most efficient team that they have. I was going to say something else, but instead I'll just say this. There's no such thing as coincidences. The housing market in 2024. Yeah, pretty much. New Jersey candidate for U.S. Senate nailed with hilarious mockery after blaming earthquake on climate change. Norting your taxes away. The National Institute of Health gave $874,000 over 6 years to a researcher studying the sexual habits of quails that are high on cocaine. The thing is, there's hundreds of thousands of examples like this. They're just never spoken about in the media. Migrant scooters now have license plates. I had to blur this plate number just because I don't have any issues here on the channel. But is this really surprising to anyone? And this is the least of it. They give them houses, cars, debit cards that automatically reload with cash every month, food stamps, and a lot of other things. And like I had on a past video, some of them were still complaining that they wanted better houses and better cars and more money and etc. All of which is paid by our taxes. All the while, you and I are just trying to scrape by. Saying the most qualified person should get the job is a microaggression. Britain's top universities insist. Yeah, who cares if you're less qualified to fly that plane and every other skilled job? The only thing that matters is if you're part of one of the groups that fit into their woke agenda. The Seattle Line Dancing Squad says they were booted from competition because their American flag shirts made the crowd triggered and unsafe. Yep, the only country on earth where displaying your nation's flag is demonized, called hate speech, and makes you a racist. Aren't you a right-wing extremist? Nope, just a normal dude from 20 years ago. How quickly this nation has been completely turned upside down in just 20, 30, 40 years. If things were to go on, what do you think this nation would look like in just 10 years from now? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Me with $100 of debt. The U.S. government with $28 trillion of debt. Just a fact. The thing is, the government doesn't have a debt. They blame that debt on the citizens and say it's the citizens that owe that debt. Thief returns after stealing woman's car. Yells at her for leaving 4-year-old son alone in vehicle. Imagine getting lectured by a car thief and him being right. Even if you're not conspiracy-minded, something in your soul has to be telling you something isn't right with any of this. Defenseless people cannot choose to be peaceful. Armed people can. 2 men who could fix our country right now. Well, for starters, you'd have to completely dissolve the federal government. Then let all governing power revert back to the individual states. And, in my opinion, that's exactly where it should stay. Signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor laws. As I said earlier, there's no such thing as a coincidence. 1973, a student and teacher guarding a Delaware high school after someone called in a threat during a morning class. Juniors, seniors, and teachers went to their cars and trucks to grab their lead dispensers and guard the doors between classes. No one ever arrived. Back when a time that schools could actually be considered a safe place, instead of just the helpless victim zones that they are today. I was 7 thinking 2024 was gonna have flying cars, and y'all selling 1996 Hondas for $7,800. This is true in a lot of ways. An international student who works as a clerk at Circle K is facing 14 years in prison on assault charges for defending himself against a homeless fentanyl addict who attempted to rob him. The attacker only received 14 months for the assault. Today's justice system at work. Just think if this clerk would have been a white guy. I'm not going to read all this. but you guys are welcome to pause the video if you want to. And this one actually goes with the previous one as well. And yet another People of Yellowstone. Tourist mauled after rolling down window to take selfie with bear. I thought he wanted to be friends, the victim's friend said of the wild bear. Yeah, guys, it's Winnie the Pooh, you know. And if that wasn't bad enough, here's the next example of the People of Yellowstone. Man challenges bison to a fight at Yellowstone National Park. It's a poor decision. You think? You're gonna challenge a 2,000-pound angry beast to a fight? This is why I keep saying, people are getting dumb and dumber by the day. Italy wants to jail vegans for 4 years if they don't feed their kids meat. I can agree with this. Do you know how many vegans have caused their young children to be severely malnourished? And some even to the point that their child died? Name a product that blames its failure on those who didn't use it. Yeah, we all know what that one is. When they find out another conspiracy you told them just became true. These days, we're just sitting back and watching it all happen in real time. You might want to reread the First Amendment. It includes freedom of the press as well as free speech. If the EU can ban Russia Today and Sputnik, we can ban Fox News and OANN. What radicalized you, Ken? A $5 footlong costs $13.26 now, Barbs. Actually now, some of them's over $15, especially after taxes. Andy Cohen. Yes, I'm racist. I hate white people. Also, Andy Cohen. The amount of anti-Semitism coming from all the corners is alarming. My parents spanked me as a child. As a result, I now suffer from a psychological condition known as respect for others. Yeah, putting an end to this is one of the major things that's wrong with this generation. Building the Death Star will create hundreds of thousands of jobs. Like I said in my last Gen X episode, this might just be a meme, but this is exactly what they do when they continue to push all these wars. When you tell people what the Bible really says. That's just a simple fact. One thing about me is if I see a customer shoplifting, I pretend I did it. Being forced to ask an employee to unlock a toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, and shampoo is actually insane. If you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes a source for fact checkers. Oh my God, Susan, can you imagine how luxurious planes will be in 50 years? Yep. It's the same thing as has happened with everything else. There's a reason that the plane manufacturers call them Airbus. They're nothing more than a very expensive bus where you're packed in there like sardines, and you're just hoping it doesn't fall apart on the way. I used to know a guy that worked in aircraft maintenance. He said they had a rack with every imaginable color of duct tape, and they used it for everything. And I know that to be true. because there's videos here on YouTube that people have taken looking out their plane window, showing a guy out on the wing of the plane using duct tape for a repair. Fact check true. But it's not just about communism. There's at least some people that's starting to wake up at what's being done to them. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up for a lot of them. But on the flip side, you still have people going around looking like this. Dumb and Dumber. We live in a world where your kid cannot pretend to be an Indian, but a grown man can pretend to be a woman. Yeah, the Secretary of Health. They tell you these are bad, so they can sell you these instead. So they can poison you with these instead. And if you take notice, it's always what is whole, real food that they tell you is bad. Like in this example, eggs, butter, raw milk, and especially beef. They hate beef. But it's also things like non-GMO fruits and vegetables, especially if you grew them in your backyard garden. Remember, son, each person is a unique individual. We don't make generalizations about groups of people. Except politicians. All politicians are trash. New York City gives squatters free lawyers. Only X's? You're a girl. Got a Y? You're a guy. It really is this simple. Anything else is just sin. Next year's car show due to gas prices. The world right now. Me still tending my silly little chickens to stay sane. Florida man's trip overseas ends in sticker shock over a $143,000 bill after making one mistake. Yeah, he didn't have the right international calling plan or something, so he got hit with roaming charges, which is still beyond stupid. The little note there on his bill about the auto pay discount just tops it off. There is no plan to fix anything, because the plan was to destroy everything. Just facts. You can't unalive your child. We're already too overpopulated. So there's no more room for illegals? Target collecting and storing customers' face and fingerprint scans without consent. Class action lawsuit. I told people back some years ago about how all the cameras in these stores are being changed so they could use them for facial recognition. And with how everything is being turned into touchscreen, does it really surprise you that all of this tech isn't doing fingerprint scans, including our cell phones? My toxic trait is that I expect people to have common sense, and I get mad when they don't. This used to be true for me, but today I just assume people don't have any common sense, unless they prove otherwise. TikToker says she was trapped in 115-degree heat after her Tesla locked her inside during a software update. I saw another one where a guy had to bust out the window to be able to escape the car when it caught on fire. This is what happens when you do away with something as simple as a mechanically operated door. And to look at this from another perspective, this also means if someone could hack or order the car's computer, it could lock you inside the car and drive you to whatever location is specified, such as a police station. And not just with Teslas, but with all vehicles now with these computers that has to receive software updates. How much longer before your own vehicle reports you to police for breaking the speed limit or any other supposed violation? You'll just get automatic tickets that shows up in the mail. Nobody should have to go to jail for smoking weed. Readers added context. As district attorney, Harris oversaw 1,900 convictions for marijuana offenses, some of which resulted in jail time. If Build Back Better was a toilet seat. The only thing is, Build Back Better wasn't installed incorrectly by accident. It was all by design, and they're using it exactly the way that they intended to. Christian family paid for a meet and greet with Disney's evil queen, but wound up with a man dressed in drag. Well, they wanted to meet the evil queen, so... Clint Eastwood makes 15 westerns. Never unalived a cameraman. It's called gross pay because it's disgusting to see what you could have made. For April Fool's Day in 1998, Burger King took out a full-page ad in USA Today announcing the launch of the left-handed Whopper that was designed specifically for left-handed Americans. Burger King said that the condiments of the burger will remain the same, but they will be rotated 180 degrees. Thousands of people showed up the next day asking for the Lefty Whopper. And that, my friends, was in 1998. What do you think would happen today in 2024? Isn't it funny how red, white, and blue represents freedom until they're flashing behind you? Aussie family regrets visiting a beach notorious for monkey attacks after being attacked by monkeys at a famous monkey attack beach in Thailand. If only they would have had some way to know that this was a famous monkey attack beach before they went. Police robot told woman to go away after she tried to report crime. Then it sang a song. That's actually pretty funny. I'm a simple man. I see lead dispensers. I press the like button. I went into a Whole Foods and got to hear a woman arguing with a guy at the meat counter because she wanted grass-fed organic chicken, and he was desperately trying to explain to her that chickens don't eat grass. Canadian wolves are being airdropped into Michigan to unalive moose. Imagine being a moose, thinking you're safe, looking up and seeing a wolf parachuting down toward you and your moose family. Start paying more attention to what is being done to all of the wild game animals, especially the larger ones like deer, elk, moose, and other things. as well as the turkeys. Want to buy a ripped up shirt for $372? Or 4 interest-free payments of only $155? If someone took this into a thrift store, they'd take it and throw it in the trash. As they should. In that place in Poland, 8 clams get to decide if people in the city get water or not. You couldn't even make this stuff up if you tried. Walmart just released the Stay Inside Your Budget shopping cart. Yeah, it's getting about that bad. Instead of trying not to offend anyone, what if we just go back to offending everyone? Just the faded memories of far better times. Click on one of the videos above to help support the channel. Please hit that like button and subscribe. I thank you all for watching. This is Akorn, over and out.